that pretty interesting. Last weekend, Keith's family and Tammy and the kids, Kimmy, my son, my grandson, just a bunch of us were at Walt Disney World. Yep. And 2 different times, Beth and I went over to it's called Grand, what's it called? Floridian. The Grand Floridian, where that little boy was taken by the alligator. 2 different times, Beth and I were there late at night, right on that beach, to watch fireworks. Because you can get over on that beach and watch the fireworks from right there. That's probably why the parents were there about 9 o'clock at night, out on the beach. Because you have these lounge chairs and you face the Cinderella's castle and they shoot off these fireworks. But I'm sitting there going, 2 different times, Beth and I were on that beach about 9:30 at night. You could not see an alligator coming. Oh my goodness. Anyhow, so then you all heard about the shooting, right? Okay. So the shooting took place at a bar or whatever. But him, the man who shot, the shooter, and his wife, 2 times visited, it's called Disney Springs now. It used to be called, what was it? Downtown Disney. It used to be called Downtown Disney. Now they call it Disney Springs. 2 times the shooter and his wife had visited Disney Springs, and it looks like they were going to make that one of their spots. Well, guess who's over at Disney Springs? Beth and I. So 2 times Beth and I were close to bad situation and did not know it. But we need to pray for those families who lost loved ones, and the mother and the father who lost that child. We need to keep them in our prayers for sure. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Good evening. I just want you to put your thoughts in prayers and just listen to some of the things that God has commanded me to say this evening. And I know that it will be a joyful time and learning experience, and we'll get a lot out of the lesson this evening. I'm going to discuss and talk about the Bible authority. You ever thought about the word authority? It means a lot, a big word. Some people could take different ways being authoritative, or some can't. Webster's dictionary speaks authority meaning power and command. Men has always been fascinated by being in power or command. I was in the military, so I could protest to that word, command. And so many times, so many ways, things that you didn't want to do, you have to do because you belong to the government. But plenty of times you ask yourself, you say, why did I do this? And some guys, they take good commandments and some guys don't. Me personally, I always was the type, growing up, I was scared. My parents told me to do something, I'd do it because I didn't want them to chastise me or punish me. But like I say, command, it's a powerful word and a lot of people can't take it. And tonight we're going to look at some of the ways that Jesus Christ presented the word command and show some examples of ways we can follow. For instance, think about someone get a promotion at work. Say they was your best friend or a co-worker, and when they get that position, all of a sudden they changes. They have to change because of the job situation, or they're in the position that, okay, I can no longer associate with you. But one thing about Jesus Christ, he had all the power in the world. His authority was given to him, but he associated with all those who below him. That's what I love about reading about Jesus. You know, he never was too big. I always tell people that was saying, remember those going up the ladder, the same ones coming down, because they're walking on their chest stuck out, and forget about you. And also, when I was growing up, I participated in track and field, and I was pretty good at it. So I loved the sport, and I never got too big If I beat someone, if I see them later on down the road or another race, I never taunted them or rubbed it in. I shook their hand and I respected them and they respected me. And throughout life, I ran track for so many years and coached so many kids. And a lot of them see me today. They, hey, coach, how you doing? And my goal was always to get these kids on the right path and the right focus. And that's how Jesus Christ is doing with us. He's keeping us on the right path and the right focus. I want to ask you a question. What are some ways that we misabuse power? Tell me some ways that we misabuse power in your own words. What are some ways we misabuse power? Yes? Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, it's true. So many times we all, probably did do that time, and then once we grown and learn, we learn to humble ourselves and not look at people certain ways. Because the other day I was in the store, left church, went to Walmart. I was picking some items up, had my tie on, and took my jacket off. I've never seen this lady in my life. I was in the auto department looking for some motor oil or something. But anyway, I just walked around the corner, and she walked around, and she said, hey, how you doing? I said, fine, how you doing? How was church today? I would say it was great. And she said, amen, praise the Lord. I mean, she wasn't, I don't know, she didn't look like she went to church or anything, but she just acknowledged the fact that I did, and it made me feel good. I'm not trying to make myself look better than nobody else, but it's just the point where she knew, the situation, and she praised God. I said, well, thank you. And, it's a good feeling. I know one time my mom, the church I grew up in St. Pete, we was there attending service, and my mom told this story. I was inside. This person came. The person was, he drank alcohol because he was stumbling. So he was walking, and he got to the church. See, the church started right here. He was stumbling back here. But he got there, kind of straightened up, and he walked straight. And the time he passed the building, he went back to stumbling again. But that shows you the power of God. This man fearful, and he was to the point that he said, hey, I'm going to straighten myself up just from that point to that point. So, anybody else want to comment on anything before I get going? Yeah, that's true. You think about the times that, kids raising kids, and the Bible teaches us to teach a child in the way we want them to go, so they won't depart from us as they get older. Now think about that growing up. And you can understand it, but now you can't once you have kids or you be around kids. And it means a lot. Me personally, when I see child or me involved with kids with coaching, I would go to that parent and I would shake their hand, say, great job, because training starts at home, the authority. And you're afraid, you teaching your child not to be afraid of you because they command but authority, but just that they know mom and dad. And it means a lot because today, society, in today's world, as you see, teenagers get in trouble a lot. And, I just pray for them. I said, boy, growing up, I look back at myself. I said, we didn't get in trouble and do things like that. And they tell us, like, for instance, in my neighborhood, my mom and dad says, everybody in the neighborhood knew that street light go off before it get dark, you better be in the house. And guess what? We'd be out there talking, all of a sudden the street light, it comes on, you better be in the house before that street light come on. And that's just we were scared of our parents, but we knew what would have happened if you wasn't there. But like I said, it means a lot raising kids and just the authority of commandment. Any more comments? We move on. Well, I say, some ways we misuse power, authority of power. Some of the ways we misuse it. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, that's a good comment. That's true. That's true. And so many people don't, like I said, they don't listen to authority or take authority. They misuse it or misinterpret it, what it is. We're going to look at some ways how Jesus dealt with authority. And Jesus handled the power of authority real good. The Gentiles, the chief priests and scribes and elders didn't know he had all the power. And also in Matthew 27, chapter 40 to the 43rd, Matthew 27, chapter 41st through the 43rd. I have the King James Version, so my reading is probably a little different from yours. Pardon me? Yeah, 27 verse, 41st through the 43rd. 27 chapter, 41st through the 43rd verse. Pardon me?
Likewise also the chief priests wanting him with the scribes and elders said, he saved others, himself he cannot save. If he be the king of Israel, let him not come down to the cross, and we will believe him. He trusted in God, let him deliver him out, if he will have it. For he said, I am the Son of God. The thieves also, which were crucified with him, passed the same in the sea.
Okay. Here we're looking at the point that Jesus on the cross, and all authority was given by him by the Father. And he knew what he had to do. He could have came off that cross, could have called 10,000 angels to free him and destroy the world, but he didn't. Obedience to the Father. And here, the chief priests and the scribes and the elders, oh, you Son of Man, come off the cross and we'll worship you. Jesus looked at him, probably, I ain't got nothing to prove to you. I know what I have to do. And just that authority, and they didn't know that he had all the authority, earth and in heaven. And that's a good thing about it, because here, just imagine yourself up on the cross. You could have waved your hand like that, and you could have been down, and you don't have to prove anything to nobody. And that's what I love about Jesus Christ. He didn't have to prove to these people. He just showed them in the ways when he was on earth. And like I said, different people take authority certain ways in different ways. But I just love the way he didn't get too command or too boastful like Alexander the Great. So I'm going to just wipe out everybody. But, his heart is humbleness that he showed us in examples of how he lived when he was on earth. And I love that so much because personally, I try to carry that same, don't get too big, always be humble, be humble. And like the people I run across, the kids I coach, I always tell them, be humble, stay humble, because it means a lot. Any comments before I move on? Yes, it was. I mean, that was the biggest, he said, Father, forgive them, for they know what they do. And they crucified, they're murdering him, the Son of Man, but he bore the sins of us all, regardless of who we were, didn't matter. But that shows a lot in what he had to do. Also, in Matthew 28th chapter and 18th verse, Jesus spoke unto them, all power is given unto me in heaven and in earth. And that was right during the time of the Great Commission. And he didn't let the disciples know. And imagine saying, all power is given to me, heaven and earth, both places. That means a lot. To say, like, hey, I have all power, And like I say, I love it because he didn't rule it. It wasn't like an iron fist. Like you think about the time of Hitler, for instance, in Germany, he was an iron fist ruler, or Mussolini, or some other people you could think about. The guy from Cuba, Castro. But, it's just that, you don't need to rule with iron fist or the command, be humble. That's what I love about it, the way he teaches us to be humble. Any comments before we move on? Anybody comments? Mm-hmm.
It tells us that all the authority is his, and then it says, therefore, go and do this, teaching them to observe all things I have commanded. And I think that it's so important to keep that in mind, because it's easy for us to find tradition or whatever on other people, and yet the authority comes from the command of God.
Yes. Yes, you're right. And so many times, when, for instance, you witness to people, and a brother taught me a long time ago that, when you first become a Christian, you're on fire. You want everybody to accept it. And you talk to people and they reject you. You say, man, what's wrong with these people? But then he said, Oscar, don't be mad at them. They rejecting not you, but they're rejecting God. And ever since he told me that, I use that every time I talk to someone. And it works, because I'm not trying to say that, hey, I have to open your head and screw everything in there that you're supposed to be, according to the Bible. But, I look at it and it makes things easy on me and myself. When I look like that, I say, okay, don't get mad at them. Just smile and go on. And later on, someone else, Tim, may come and water that person, plant that seed in water. Who knows? It grows. But I love that part where when you're talking to people and they reject you, just say, hey, he's not rejecting me, he's rejecting God. And like you say, all authority is given to Jesus, heaven and earth. We're going to also speak about, for instance, I want to talk a little bit on getting back to the authority of the church in the Bible, really. And men need to get back to the authority. Look at the churches of today. A lot of them, they may want convenience, making things easy. I read somewhere that some congregation, I don't know who or where it was, but anyway, during the offering, they have little credit cards, some cards used to swipe credit cards, instead of putting money in the plate, they just swipe the credit cards. I mean, can you imagine you in service, you try and get your full attention, and all of a sudden a little credit card thing come by, you swipe the credit card. I mean, to me, that's kind of bad, because when I come here, I want to focus on the lesson and service, not get distracted from things like that. But so many congregations, they make stuff so, I guess, convenient for man. And we need to get back to the Bible, get back to the authority, what he told us to do, the commandments that he told us, obey him and worship him and not man. And that's what I love about Jesus. But like I said, so many churches are getting away from that. And, you want to find a congregation that you could come, study, and everybody on the same page. Nobody's different. Like he said, no division among us. He wants us on the same page. And that means a lot, because to me and my family, I'm looking for somewhere that I could, fit in. We get together loving brothers and sisters in Christ. No divisions. Nobody butting heads. And we really need to get back to the Bible, the authority of the Bible, what the Bible tells us to do, and not man. And I love that so much that we can do that. But it's a choice that we have to make, not mankind, us. Any comments? Okay. And even some churches, I don't know if you visit a lot of churches, or just when you're vacationing. Some churches have instruments. We know what he says about instruments. But again, that's a distraction. To me, it's a distraction. I want to come and listen to what the person who's delivering the message, get into the songs, or just a cappella, just singing. Could you turn to Corinthians, the first chapter, 10th verse? Corinthians, the first chapter, 10th verse. Okay, on Corinthians, 1 Corinthians, the 10th chapter, in the first verse. Now I beseech you, brother, by the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that ye all speak the same thing, and that there are no divisions among you, but that ye be perfectly joined together in the same mind and in the same judgment. Once again, we talked a little bit about that, how everybody should be on the same page. And that's a commandment that he, give us. Be no separate divisions, on the same mind and judgment. And it makes the service also flow a lot better, and we get along, not coming in and fussing and fighting and disagreeing, but just out of love and peace and understanding. Any comments? You guys are quiet. You can speak up. I want some feedback. Give me some feedback. Talk to me. Tell me some things. We all going to learn together. Also, we must do things according to God's pattern. Think about Noah. God told Noah to build an ark, and he told him to build it out of gopher wood. And in Genesis 6, chapter 14 through the 16th verse, I'm going to read my version, what I have. Make thee an ark of gopher wood. Rooms shall thou make it in the ark, and it shall pitch it within and without with the pitch. And this is the fashion which thou shalt make of it. And the length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, and the beneath of it 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits. And when it shall thou make to the ark, and in the cubits shall thou finish it above, and the door of the ark shall thou set in the side thereof. The lower second and the third stories shall thou make it. Jesus told Noah how to make and what to make the ark. He said, use gopher wood. He didn't go out and get no pressure treated wood. He got gopher wood. He obeying what God told him to do. And imagine so many times that we don't do what he tells us to do and we disobey God. But imagine how big the ark is. Just, you can imagine, but I don't, a cubic is 18 to 22 inches. So think about 3-story building. You see, it was 2 to 3 stories. So imagine how high it is and how long it is because you had to get all the animals in. But the ark was a pretty big boat and it took years to build. But just think about what he told him to do. And he did everything according to what he said. Okay, he said, put a window here. He put the window there. He didn't go and put it to the front, but he put it just exactly where he had to. And God had a purpose for telling Noah to build this ark and put everything a certain way, get the animals in. But once again, he did just what God told him to do. He didn't try to deviate. He tried to, okay, I'm going to take authority and commandment, do it my way. He did it the way God said to do it. Yes? Mm-hmm.
And yet, God gave Noah the perfect boat that size. He still uses those dimensions in our Navy. So, world's best Navy today.
Oh, okay.
Like, we have 3 different ships that are 3 salvage ships that are the same.
Mm-hmm.
And in modern era, where we can make it 1,000 different ways now,
Mm-hmm.
it is still true. And yet, it is a man who's never seen rain who built
Mm-hmm.
those same dimensions that offer us that. It just kind of baffles me. The fruit you have of God and all how else would Noah have known?
Yes, it is. You must have was in the Navy. Air Force. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right, because I know a couple times I went to Mayport Naval Shipyard, and those ships are there. I said, wow, how did they do it? But we know that God has a plan and give us the mind and the ability to do it. We don't do it on our own. He command us and show us and guide us the way to do it. But I love that. Good.
How many of y'all have heard that there is an ark now? Okay, y'all have heard it. Did you hear what happened to it? He was going to float it. He was going to sail it from a certain place to a certain place. So as he left this one port, I guess the weather started getting bad. He had really not the best way of controlling the ship. But first of all, people were amazed that he supposedly used the dimensions from the ark in this. And so the first hole he got was he wasn't able to steer it like he wanted to. It crashed into a U.S. Coast Guard that has a big hole in it, so now it has to be fixed. But this guy actually supposedly made a replica of Noah's Ark, and it still floats.
Wow.
But he can't steer it right. You know what? God was steering Noah's Ark. That's what.
Wow. That's something. That is true, though, right? Wow. Any more comments before we move on?
You know, and that was never God's plan. It was never authorized by God for people to just approach Him willy-nilly, any way that they want. Because that's a religion about themselves. You know, that's humanism. That's not worshiping God. And the examples that I thought, Dave Gaffney advised we're all familiar with that story where Dave hired a great advisor. Oh, my God, you know, and he stayed the ark. He reached out. You would think that was a good thing, you know, it's about to fall. And he reached out and he kept the ark, which was wasn't authorized to do. And so, Name it in the letter was very specific about what he was going to do. And
It's good. But you know how men are. We always got to do things our way. We don't listen to God and think about we suffer in the long run. That we say, well, I should have listened. You know, how many times your parents told you to do something growing up and you didn't do it, and guess what? You get in trouble or something happened. Like my mom used to always saying, "Hard head make a soft body." And what that mean? She never would tell us what nothing mean. Her and my dad, they always say things, and then once you get older, then you find out, okay, you need to do it this way. That's what happened. Or you have some kids of your own. And then once you have kids of your own and deal with kids, you say, okay, now I got an idea what she's saying. But, that's the way man is. We got to do things our way, not the way God wants us to do. And so many times when we do that, we get in trouble. And he spank our bottoms and say little things to us and try to get us on the right path, the right direction. I want to share some things with you. I'm going to do a comparison of God's authority versus, once again, since I was in the military authority. A soldier answers to the upper command, like an officer or general. Jesus answered only to his Father. Once you join the military, you do what they say. Once a man obeys the gospel, he do what God says. In the military, once a soldier don't obey the general order, he or she is punished. When a Christian disobey God, we too are punished. In the military, we are taught to work as a team. As Christian brothers and sisters in Christ, God teaches us to work together in love. In the military, we are taught to respect the higher ranking person. As Christian brothers and sisters in Christ, we too are taught to respect God, authority, the Bible. There's a word called NATO, which means North Atlantic Treaty Organization. That is different countries, United States, Spain, some other countries, I can name a lot of them, but they get together and make an alliance. Say, for instance, if something happened over in this country, they'll pull together the troops and everybody go over to help defend this country. But that is called NATO. And usually a 4-star general of the United States is over that, and he's in charge. God don't have to answer to no one, no man. He made it all. The authority is his. Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. So I just want you to think of some of the things that we talked about this evening. I hope you was enlightened or just keep some wisdom of some of the things that we go through being authority in the commandments. Thank you so much.